Hello guys, I hope you're all in the picture of health. Today we will look at while loops in Python. Just to remind you guys about loops, loops are control structures that allow you to repeatedly execute a block of code. We then categorize loops to two types, for loops and while loops. We briefly talked about for loops in the previous video, but for now, let's learn what is a while loop. A while loop repeatedly executes a block of code as long as a specified condition is true. It is useful when you don't know the exact number of iterations beforehand. Here is the general syntax. The condition is a Boolean expression that determines whether the loop should continue or stop. The loop continues as long as the condition evaluates to true. Be cautious when using while loops to avoid infinite loops. Let's head to VS Code. I will open a Python file, code loop.py. Now I will work examples with the while loop. I will declare a new variable n equals to 0 while n is less than or equal to 3. Then go ahead and print Python, then n equals to n plus 1, or the preferred way is n plus equal 1. It is same as n equals to n plus 1. Now let me show you how does this loop work. At first, I declared a variable n and set its value to 0. Then while n is less than or equal to 3, execute the below lines of code. Print Python, then increment n by 1. When you run this program, it checks that as long as n is less than 3, it will execute the below lines of code. First, it checks that n is less than 3. Because now the value of n is 0, it executes the rest of code and increases the value of n to 1. Now it sees that 1 is less than 3. Then does it again and increase n to 2. And again runs the same logic until n is greater than 3. Now if I run it, down in my terminal, python loop.py, you can see it outputs Python 4 times because the initial value of n was 0. Now if I change the operator of this while loop condition or the number in this while loop, what would happen? Let me change n to 4 and then the less than or equal to sign to greater than and equal to sign. Let me expand the terminal. Now if I run it, we are now facing an infinite loop. It infinitely prints Python. Hit Ctrl C to end this. Now let's check what is happening. The while loop checks that if n is greater than or equal to 3 and then executes these lines of code. And since n has the value 4 initially, the condition results in true, and that is why the program will run into an infinite loop. To fix this, either you should change the sign or the incrementing or decrementing process of the variable. And the best approach for while loops is to start from 0 and increment it to the desired number. Now infinite loops can be good sometimes. Like in real world, we want to collect data from all users, not only from a certain constant number. Or for time, we use while true or infinite loops because time cannot go back or cannot stop. Let me demonstrate an example. Names equals to open bracket, close bracket, while true, name equals to input, what is your name, names dot append name. For I in names, go ahead and print I, and then print a new line after each iteration. This is a simple program using both for loop and while loop and the previous building blocks that we learned. It takes user input and adds it to a list and then prints each name in the list. Let me run it. Now it prompts me for my name. I will type different names. Abdullah, hit enter. You can see it prints Abdullah. Then it again prompts me for a new name. I will type Omar. Now again hit enter. Now you can see it prints both Abdullah and Omar, because in each iteration it appends every name to my list and then prints the entire list again and again. So I think this will be enough in the context of loops. We will use these building blocks in our upcoming videos a lot. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.